Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Queensland Globe webinar with the Environment Institute of Australia and New Zealand, the South East Queensland Division. I'm very pleased to be in George Street this afternoon with, I've got Andrew Hurst with me, who is a Senior Liaison Officer, and I also have Mark Van Wessen, who is a Senior Spatial Information Officer, and they're going to be running through the Queensland Globe data today. So if anybody has any questions, please send them through as we go along. If you've joined us, you will be on mute at the moment, and for the remainder of the webinar, you will be on mute. But if you have a little look down the bottom, there should be a chat section that you have access to, and you can type into the chat section and I will be able to get your questions, and I can then relay those to Andrew and to Mark as the webinar goes on. So we might have a couple of breaks where we will be able to answer questions. We'll just sort of run it today and see how we go. So I shall pass you on to Andrew now to give you the demonstration.
Thanks, Danielle, very much. As Danielle said, my name is Andrew Hurst. I'm a Senior Liaison Officer for the Department of Natural Resources, Mines and Energy. And today we're going to go through some of the features and functions of Queensland Globe. So you should have your, you should be able to see right now the welcome page for Queensland Globe. So as you can see, it's open in a browser. So you can access it via most browsers, Chrome, Firefox, etc. We found it's probably most stable in Chrome, so that's probably the preferred browser, although it will work in the other ones. So we've basically, so the Queensland Globe's basically been evolving over time, so we're adding new data sets. There's about 1,000 data sets in there at the moment. We're going to go through a number of those today. It is as well mobile friendly, so you can actually use it on iPads, tablets, etc. And yes, we might talk a bit later, but like I said, it is evolving over time. So there is a new version coming out in about 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll just talk about that a little bit later, but it's probably a good idea to keep that in mind in a few weeks and just look out for those changes. So here's the landing page. There's the URL there at the top. You can basically do a Google search for Queensland Globe, or you can type that URL into your browser, and then you'll hit this landing page. So you have to accept the T&Cs and the specific data conditions to then enter the globe. But before we get started, I'm just going to show you this Take Tour function. So you click on that Take Tour, you're then presented with the main interface, but it's got these pop-ups that allow you to sort of find out more information about particular things. Just 1 second. Can I move this?
You can minimise it.
Oh, yeah.
So on the left. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me just go back to that. Sorry, just 1 second. I just want to go back to the tour again. You can see here, there's a bunch of information with pop-ups that basically allow you to go through and find out information for yourself. So if you get stuck on anything after I've gone through it today, here's one place you can go to find out further information and do some kind of self-directed learning about the different functions. There is a lot to get through in 1 hour, so I certainly recommend coming here to this tour after today just to refresh some of the things that I'm going to go through. So yeah, as you can see, you can just click through and it just gives you handy little hints and tips, you know, printing and things like that. So, so that's the tour. Now, if I close out of there, I'm now presented with the main map interface. So, as you can see on the left-hand and right-hand side, there's a whole bunch of tabs, I guess, which you can click on that then basically enable you to perform certain things. I'm going to go through these today, but before I do, another self-help avenue with the Queensland Globe is down the bottom left-hand corner through this help function. So if I click on this help button, it opens up another tab where you can actually access the layer catalogue. So this catalogue shows every single layer that's actually published in the Queensland Globe. So At last count, we were over 1,000. Here we got 1,042 layers represented. So you can go through here and have a look and see exactly which layer and the name of the layer, is in the Queensland Globe. So I'll just close out of that. As well, you'll see here there's new features. So every time we get a new release, and 2.9 is coming up, but we'll actually tell you what's changed. So 2.8, there's some information about what's changed with the Queensland Globe, and also any data or layers that we've added. And there's some video tutorials, so you can have a look here at some video tutorials, really helpful. As I said, same with the Take Tour function. You can come here after today and refresh yourself and do some self-directed learning about how to use things in the Queensland Globe. And then here's the FAQs as well. So yeah, please have a look here if you get stuck on something. If you want to ask us questions as well after today, you can please email us directly, opendata@dnrme.qrt.gov.au. If you have any questions about Queensland Globe or its data, that you can't find in the help section, etc., please flick us an email. Okay, so back to the main interface. I'm going to go around pretty much and anti-clockwise, and we're going to have a look at a couple of things here. So the first off is topics. So topics are basically groupings of layers or categorized layers. So you can see here, here's some of the categories: land valuations, mining, flooding, property, surveying. So I'm just going to have a look at the vegetation management topic and click through. On the right-hand side of this topic, you'll see all the layers that will be added if I, once I launch it. You can see here's the vegetation management layers, water course, land parcels, etc. As well, there's a bit of information here, about the topic itself. So it certainly gives you an insight about what layers you're about to add, and even links out to further information. So I'm going to launch this topic now. Just hit the launch button. I'm just going to add it to the Globe. If you've got a lot of layers on already, sometimes you might want to replace the current topic to ensure the Globe runs as efficiently as possible. I'm just going to add it. You'll see now as well on the left-hand side, I've got 34 layers. So adding that topic just added a whole bunch of layers to the layers panel. And if I open that up now, you'll see them all there. I just want to zoom in now, so I'm just using my mouse wheel to zoom in. Just so some of these layers start coming on the map. You'll see here I've just zoomed in around Emerald, and you'll see there these layers, so that data that's now displayed, you'll see that's as a result of me adding that topic. So topics are a really great way to quickly add the data to the map and then just simply zoom in and view it. There's probably not much else I really want to go into about topics today. You can sort them, you can search for them, etc. But yeah, just want to reiterate that topics are a great way to quickly add data to the map and then zoom into your particular area of interest, and bang, there's that data really quickly and easily accessible. So I'm going to move on to search now, and I probably don't need to spend much time on searching. I'm just going to do some quick examples. Of searching. And then basically you can click on your search result and it'll basically take you right there. So you can see I've just put an address in. If I want to save this address for later because for whatever reason, I need to hit this icon and add it to places. So this is really important, and I want to reiterate that if I want to save that and use it later, I have to use that icon and save it to places. We'll talk a little bit more later about saving, but if I didn't do that and then close the search panel, I'd actually lose that location. So yeah, really important to do that. I can search for a lot plan as well. And that you basically click on that, it'll take me straight out to where that lot plan is. Looks like there's some vegetation data over the top of that. I'll add that to places as well. So that's saved. As well, you can search by suburb. I'm going to add that just to demonstrate. You can see it takes me straight to the location. So searching is pretty straightforward. There's another one here, features. So you can, this features search function enables you to search for particular items or within particular data sets. So we've got water bores, survey control marks, valuation property IDs, building names, etc. So if you know your survey control mark number or your water bore number, you can just simply type it in and it'll take you straight there. So there's an example. The only thing to be careful of here is you can see when I've typed that number in, I've got water bores and survey control marks come up in my results. So just a bit of advice, you probably want to know what you're looking for when you use that feature. And as well, you can search via lat and long. I won't bother showing you that, but you can see you need to put it in the lat and long coordinates in that format or one of those formats. And then it's the same as searching for address. It'll just take you straight there. So that's searching. We're going to move on now to layers. So as you saw before, we've added data to the map using the topics panel. Now we're going to learn how to add data to the map using the layers panel. So the layers panel, you can actually now edit or add individual layers. You've seen before with topics, I've added multiple layers at once. Here I can now really refine, what I'm doing and edit or add individual layers just so, for a specific use. So if I want to add a layer, I can simply just hit the add layers button, and probably one of the easiest ways, I can just filter all the layers underneath. So I just type water and hit enter, and I can search through all the layers with the word water in them. So let's say I add water course. I'll just clear that filter now. As well, if you wanted to, you could actually scroll down through the structure, and I guess add. If I wanted to add native title, for instance, native title determination, just add that individually by just scrolling down and opening up the drop downs. If I want to now edit those layers, you can see I can just hit that back button, and I'll just show you that again. There's that back button from the All Layers panel. I can just go back to the Layers panel and edit these individually. It's often a good idea if you've got a lot of layers to sort of really pull out the ones you don't need. So I can just hit delete or hit the red button to remove, and then make sure you hit the done button, and that'll just remove that from the Layers panel. As well with layers, you can add your own data. So if you've got CSV files, KMLs, you can see shape files, GPX files, you can drag and drop them. And I'll probably demonstrate that a little bit later. I might try and export something, and we'll demonstrate that a little bit later. So I want to show you as well, oh, sorry. 1 second, my mouse is playing up. I think my mouse is really playing up. Yeah, can you, sorry, I think my battery's died on my mouse. Oh, here we go. So I'll just close out of that. So while we've got the layers panel open, we might just go back to say Emerald, and I'll just show you a couple of things about what we can do. So I'll just search for Emerald. It's going to take me back to Emerald. You'll see all that vegetation management data that I've added to the map. And if we go to the layers panel now, you'll see as I zoom in, some of these other layers start to actually appear on the map. So if I turn on land parcel, for instance, you'll note that there's land parcel layer. You'll note that some of these data sets only display at certain zoom levels. So you can see now over here that land parcel layer on the left has turned grey. So what that means is it's just that scale level, it's not visible on the map. As well, you'll see how there's a line through some of these layers. So that means they're actually switched off. So they're in the layers panel. You just click on that to make it visible and then zoom in until it turns blue. You can see now it's turned blue, which means it'll start to display on the map. So if you've added a layer and you're wondering why it's not displaying, just check your zoom level and also check whether it's been grayed out on the map. All right, so we're going to have a look at a few other things now. If we're interested in a particular property, for instance, and let me just zoom in to a particular property. What you can do in the layers panel, if you actually want to investigate further as well, is turn the opacity down, which is, I guess, really important for these solid fill layers. So you can see here, I've just used the drop down so I can see the underlying imagery now. As well, you can see I've got the land parcel layer turned on. So if I'm interested in a particular property, let's say this one here, and need to find out more information about it, I can grab this tool called the Identify tool and basically click on my area of interest. And then what it does is just, it runs a query and tells me all the data. It returns all the data that's basically underneath where I clicked. So now I can click through and it'll basically highlight that vegetation management data and tell me what category is. But if there was more data, obviously it'd display in the attributes as well. As well, in the layers panel, while I'm here, you can now access the metadata. So this normally, if you click on that, it'll take you out to QSpatial, which is our spatial information database, or if you like, and you can actually download that data set yourself. So if you have a GIS team, or you've got GIS applications, you can just grab the data set and put it into that application. You don't even need to use Queensland Globe, so you can throw it in ArcGIS Online or any other mapping application that accepts spatial information in these formats. So it's a great way to grab the data set yourself and then use it for your own needs, put it in your own application. You can see as well, and I forgot to mention this earlier, a lot of what Queensland Globe runs off now is web map services. So that basically means you can grab the URL, and the data that you're getting through that URL is as live as we can possibly make it. It's hitting our servers. So as soon as we update our servers, the data in our servers, it'll be updated instantly in whatever application you're using it in. So you can grab, for instance, this live service, copy that URL and put it in ArcGIS Online, like I said, and then you're accessing the same data that Queensland Globe is. So it's as fresh as it can be. So this is QSpatial. So we'll just go back to Queensland Globe. And let me just show you a couple of other things you can do. See as well, if I'm interested in a particular data set, while I'm in the layers panel, I can actually query certain layers. So it helps to sort of filter down the data. So I just open it up and I can actually query layer attributes. So I can, and this probably isn't the best one to choose. Let me just find a different data set as a better demonstration. Any ideas, Mark?
Try land parcel perhaps.
So here I'm just going to look at land parcels. And so I can actually query this. You can see here it brings up a basic query panel. So I can query for lot number. I can query for tenure.
Let's try SL, state land.
State land, will that come up as just SL?
Could return a lot of records.
So this will just run a query, and this will tell me within that data set how many state land features there are. There's probably a lot of them, so it's running the query. We might try some. Oh, don't know why that didn't work.
You could try your native titles.
Right, okay, let's go back to, oh, here we go, native title determinations. Let me just try that to query.
Now, determined, date determined.
So we're going to see, we'll just try 1st of the 1st, 2017, and see if it'll bring me back all the native title determinations after that date. So there you go. So there's 85 native title determinations after the 1st of the 1st, 2017 we have in this data set. So now I can have click through them. And these are all them here. So I can actually download. I can actually download all of these as a CSV file. And the reason it's coming up blank there is probably just one of those records in the data set. But I'm just going to download this. And please bear with me. So you can see there now, I've downloaded this. It's opened up as a CSV file. So basically this data set is all the native title determinations after the 1st of the 1st, 2017, which I've now downloaded as entire data set. So you can see how powerful that is in filtering that data. And then you can use this in a report, or whatever you wanted to use it for. So, as you can see, status, finalised, outcome, native title exists. So you've got all the attributes that we have available in that data set, nice and neatly packaged and filtered and exported to a CSV file. So just going back to Globe. So I just wanted to demonstrate, I guess, out of that how you can filter layers and get the information you need and then export it straight from the layers panel. If I wanted to as well, and while I'm in the layers panel, let me just save this. I'll save this to the desktop. PC.
That's okay. I can just leave it and then I can save it.
Save it there. I'm just going to. So where did that just say? Downloads?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm just going to go to downloads. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab that file. There it is there, native title. So there's my CSV file. I'm going to open up the Globe again. And then I'm simply going to drag and drop this CSV file back into the Globe. Just wait for that to load up. And you can see there, because this is a statewide data set, you can see all those dots are all the native title determinations, as I mentioned, from that filter, after 1st of the 1st, 2017. And it adds it, then that CSV file, it adds it as a layer. I probably added it at the top. There it is there. So I can now actually, even if I use a drop down, I can now, adjust the color, size, whatever I really wanted to do with that data set. Yes, so that's layers. I probably don't need to, actually we might even stop for questions. Does anyone have any questions just while I'm at this point?
We do have one question. Gina Minotel has said, when adding multiple layers to Queensland Globe, and if you scan the map too quickly, it cuts out and you lose the data you have just tried to add. Will this be fixed in the next version?
We probably need more of a more detail around exactly what's happening. It's a bit hard to answer that without actually seeing. Probably the best thing we could do is if you use that email address, opendata@dnrme.qrt.gov.au, and even send us screenshots. Like that's not an issue that I'm aware of.
No, there can sometimes be a bit of a lag. If you do add a lot of data to the globe in one go, it will take a little bit of time to load in. So it's a good idea to just give it a bit of time. And also, if you notice, when you do load data in, a blue bar will move across the top of your screen. When you see that blue bar, it actually means that the data is loading into the map. So just beware, if that blue bar is moving across the top of the screen, it is trying to load data, so it's probably best to wait until that's finished before you go on and do anything else.
Yeah, if that doesn't work as well, like I said, if you can give us screenshots and send us an email, we'll investigate that. You know, if there is an issue with data displaying, or it may even be data displaying at different zoom levels. There's like I said, over 1,000 data sets in there, so it's a bit hard to tell, you know, without further detail around it. But yes, please email us and we'll look into that. No problem at all. Any other questions? So we'll keep going. So we're going to go to places now, and you see these places that I added before through searching. So I can jump now, just grab the drop down here. Oh, sorry, there's another question.
Another question pop up. Can you query the layers just within a selected area rather than data for the entire state?
Absolutely, and that's just what I'm about to do. Thank you for asking.
Well done, Paulette.
So you've seen before how I've added those by searching to places. So what I can do now is query all the layers that I have open within a certain area, which is what you just exactly asked. So I'm just going to use Greenslopes Brisbane, but I could have used an LGA, or I could have actually drawn it on the map myself. So if we now zoom to Greenslopes, for instance, and because I've got this data sets turned on, what I can do now is go back to places and query layers using this place. So what I do is simply click on this, and what this does is query all the layers that are underneath that or intersecting with those boundaries and inside that boundary. So you can see there's 308 roads, there's 3,582 land parcels within Greenslopes, there's 2 regulated vegetation management category B features, 6 watercourses, 3 canal lines. So, so yes, it's a great way once again to filter those data layers. I could then, you know, click through and sort of look at each one of these, you know, 3 canal lines, and it'll highlight it on the map as I click through. So yeah, like I said, another great way to really filter your data. And I didn't have to use like a suburb outline. I could have actually created one myself. So I can demonstrate that for you here now. If I grab this polygon tool, let me just turn off this native title data set for a second. And I'm just going to add, just to demonstrate, I'm just going to add the address layer. So I can actually query using this polygon tool. So if I'm interested in, let's say, all the addresses around a particular block, or, you know, this could be town or whatever you wanted to draw around, I can use this polygon tool, draw around the area of interest, and that automatically gets added to places when you use those drawing tools. There it is there. So I can change the name to, you know, Greenslopes block, or whatever I wanted to call it, and then query layers using this place again. So now it's only going to query the layers underneath that actual polygon. And as you can see, there's 1 road, there's 12 land parcels. So if I have a look at all the land parcels, I could actually then download all the land parcel information as well. And I'll just demonstrate that. So that was the native title one, and so you can see now these are all the lot plan numbers, excuse me, and the tenure and all the attributes that I have for those land parcels within that polygon that I drew. So another great way to filter data. in the Queensland Globe. Excuse me a second. Have I missed anything there, Mark?
We talk about the limitations of downloads.
Oh, yes. So in the help section as well, you'll see there are limitations. So you can, I think it's something like 50,000 records. If you go in the help section, it'll show you import and export data. It's still there. How do I import or export data? You can see these are the formats you can import. And there's a lot of information here about exporting data and some of the limitations around that. So if you're wondering why it's not exporting properly, here we go. Limit on download size is 1,000 rows and 50,000 vertices. So yes, and there's a tutorial about importing and exporting as well. So please have a look here in the help section. These video tutorials are a great way to refresh your memory after what I've gone through today. I'll just close out of that help section again. We're going to go on to maps now. So you've seen I've added this data using topics and added them individually using layers. I've created my places using the drawing tools as well as using the search function. I'm now going to log in and save this map because I don't want to have to go through that same process next time I use the Queensland Globe. So I'm going to click on the Maps button. In order to save maps, you need to sign in. So I'm going to, just bear with me a second. My mouse has died. Thanks, Mark. So what I'm going to do now is log in. So you see in the top right-hand corner, there's a login button. You can log in a number of ways with the Queensland Globe, Twitter, your Google account, Facebook, ArcGIS Online, as well as the Queensland Government. At our department, we have our own sign-in through the Lands Network, but probably the easiest way, if you haven't got any of those, is just create a Gmail email address and just log in with your Google account. It only takes about 5 minutes to set one up. But as I said, I've got a Lands account, so I'm going to log in with this. And it's going to ask me for some credentials. Here. So you can see now, top right-hand corner, there's my name. So I'm logging in as well. You'll see I've got 85 saved maps. I've done a few of these previously. But what I really want to do is save that map that I've just created now. As well, you see at the top, you see that blue line running across the top of the screen. That's what Mark was talking about before. That's just Queensland Globe loading the data. So yeah, there we go, all sorted. So now if I go to my maps panel, once I've logged in, I'm just going to save as, and I might just call this, because I've added all this vegetation data, veg green slopes, not that that makes much sense. And I'm just going to hit OK. So now you can see the map's now been saved. So I've got that indefinitely. I will never lose that map from. So whenever I use the Queensland Globe tomorrow, next week, 10 years from now, those same data layers will still be there and those places were there. So, I can still jump from place to place really quickly. So if you've got multiple locations that you're looking at, you can basically go into your places panel, go back to Greenslopes, or this could be Cairns, Townsville, Mackay, anywhere. And you can really quickly jump from location to location if you're investigating them for a particular project. As well, you see all of those layers that I've added are now saved with the map, so I don't have to go back and add those layers again. It's all there ready to go. You'll see it's turned orange because I've moved the map around a little bit. That just reminds me, hey, you've moved the map. Do you want to now save it again? I can just hit save and then, excuse me, and then the map's updated. A great feature of the Queensland Globe now is the ability to share these maps. So this map that I've created, I just hit the drop down and now I can actually share this with colleagues, friends, family, whoever. I'm going to include the places data because that's all the obviously that the searches that I'd saved, the locations that I've saved, and if I'd added a CSV file or a KML or whatever, you know, I'd want to include the user data. So that's the extra data that you've added. Hit next, and basically that's it. It generates a URL, so I can now email that to someone in New York, London. They click on this link and it'll open up the exact same data layers, the exact same places, the exact same zoom level as you were looking at, you know, 30 seconds ago, or how long it took the email to get to London. So it's a really powerful way. I'm just going to try and open up another browser window here. Oh, yeah. You can see I'll just copy and paste that link of the save map. It just opens up the Queensland globe again. And once it all loads in, like I said, it'll load the same data, same places, same zoo level. You know, and your colleague in London may want to make some changes, so they can save it to their own profile, make some changes, and then send it back and say, oh, actually, I was talking about this, or how about these changes? It's a really powerful way to collaborate with colleagues. So I'll just close that one down. So that's just to demonstrate how you save and share maps. As well, we do have this take offline functionality now. So you have to be careful with this, because what it does is save data to your browser's cache. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of some of these data sets. I'm just going to replace current topic back with the default layers. I'm just going to remove some of these layers. And I'll leave watercourse on. We might go out to, let's say, Longreach. I'll zoom in a bit. So it's probably a good idea when you're taking things offline to zoom in to a reasonable scale level. So here we are out at Longreach, you know, and you're going to be doing some investigating along this creek. I can now, you know, there might not be any service there, any mobile reception. Excuse me. I can now take this map offline. I'm not sure if this will work, but we'll see. And I hit save. It tells you what layers you've included, as what was excluded. It tells you the size. So if I hit save, it starts saving the map. And you have to be careful with this. As I said, if there's too much data in there, it won't save it. So you just have to be careful about what data layers you've got on, etc. So now it's saving it to the browser's cache. So now if I go for a walk with my iPad, I can just access this map and then use it out in the field. I can even make changes to it, so I can add things while I'm out in the field. I can do a GPS location. If your device has some kind of GPS in it, you can then do a location, find your location, etc. There's a lot of data in there. It's taken a little while to save. And I guess it's probably at the zoom level I'm at as well, because it's actually saving that satellite imagery in there as well. It's quite sort of large data sets. I might cancel that. But I guess, like I said, you just have to be careful about what data sets you add to the map and then you use to take offline. Should I cancel it, Mark? What do you reckon?
Nearly there.
We're getting there. It is normally a lot quicker than this. I'm going to cancel that. Maybe zoom in a bit. I'm going to save this as a new map. Call it Longreach. I'll just get rid of, edit my places. I can just remove all these places just by editing. Check my layers, and let me just go back to my map. There's my Longreach map. And I'll just save it. Let me just try that again. I would take offline. Yeah, I think this will work better. It tells you the layers. So yeah, like I said, you don't want to add a whole heap of layers, but it's enough for you to actually use the Queensland Globe while you're out in the field. Like I said, if it's got GPS functionality, you can click on that and it'll tell you exactly where you are. You can even draw on it and then save it back and then use it once you get back in the office. You know, and then you can add all the data over the top. So there you go, it's successfully taken offline. I can click on this link now. And basically this is offline, so there's no internet access to this at all. You can see it just says offline. I can open that. So you basically just open your browser even while you're out in the field. And you don't need internet access to do it. So there's my map. Even though I'm offline, you know, there's still the drawing tools. I can still use the current location button. If I click on this now, though, it'll obviously take me to Brisbane. So I won't do that. But, you know, if you're walking along here, you know, and you could click on this button, then you can drop a pin and say, you know, this is where I was at. You know, use some text. You know, found something. You know, so you can do all of this offline, and then basically, you know, when you get back in the office, that's still saved. So, oh yeah, sorry, you hit the back to online button when you got back in the office, and then just access your maps panel. And you'll see there's my Longreach offline map, the one that I'd saved when I was offline. And I can add all that, the drawings that I did. You can see there, found something, and my, the point that I dropped. And then I can add all those extra data sets now because I'm back online, so I can add, you know, vegetation data or whatever. So that's how the offline functionality works. Yeah, so feel free to give that a go if you don't have connection, or if you know you're not going to have connection, you know, be prepared, save your maps offline and then access them through your browser when you're out in the field. There's probably not a lot more I need to tell you about maps, saving and sharing maps. Just like I said, it is a powerful way to collaborate. So we might move on to printing now. So if I want to now print this, you know, to a PDF or an image file, I just hit the print button. You'll see it brings me up this print template. So I can change whether it's landscape or portrait. I can add, you know, some text. Oops, text to the map. Or if it was at Longreach, you know, I can name the map, add a subtitle, veg, you know, veg management. As well, you can see you can actually set your scale level too. As well, if I'm not quite happy with the way that looks, I can now unlock the map and actually move it around within the print function. So if I wanted that centered more, I've unlocked it and just moved it, and then basically I can lock it again. I can also, if I want a specific scale level, you can see I can do that in the print function as well. There's A3, A4, portrait, landscape as mentioned. You can see there's a north arrow and roughly where it is in Queensland. As well, you can click on the additional data and access your legend, and you can update the notes there too. So if you had a lot of data sets, obviously they're displayed in the legend. And then just simply hit print to button, and that'll print to a PDF file or a PNG, which you normally then just send to your normal printer. So that's printing, just quickly. I want to show you as well some of the other stuff. We've got 2D and 3D and now even 360. So we're going to go to Hinchinbrook Island, my favourite place to show off 3D. So I've just done a quick search for Hinchinbrook. We're going to go out to Hinchinbrook Island, zoom in a little bit. You can see the satellite image is quite good. And now I'm just going to hit the 3D button. So bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to click on 3D. And it basically drops a terrain model and overlays the imagery over that terrain model. So now I use my right mouse button and drag around the map. And you can see that 3D imagery now being draped over that terrain model. So you can see it's a really powerful way now to visualize that 3D imagery. And Hinchinbrook Island looks amazing. As well, you can get an elevation profile. So while I'm in 3D mode, I can actually grab one of these tools here, the line tool. Let me just zoom out a bit actually. And let's say I was going bushwalking, for instance, on Hinchinbrook. I can grab the line tool, drag that across the island, double click to finish, and go into my places panel and show profile using surface terrain. So if I click on that, what it does now, you can see you can move your mouse across and you can see the elevation profile. So its highest point, it's going to be 789 metres above sea level. So it's quite a steep walk. I might take a boat. But so you can see, you know, you could do that on a block of land, or you could do that on, you know, a parcel of land, or you can do it anywhere, pretty much in Queensland. So, so that's 3D. We also have a 360 function, which I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to open a 360 just to show you what the globe's capable of. So this is Woolloongabba, and it shows you, the 360 basically can show you all perspectives of the data. So not only, you know, as 3D above ground, but now, you know, if you've got the data sets, you can actually see, you know, every angle from underneath the ground. So this obviously has some, you know, fantastic uses for I guess, for mining and for even water bores. So imagine if you had a, you know, 400 metre deep water bore where you could see the geology of the ground, you know, all the way through where they've bored. So that's certainly the future for us as well. Globe has the capability, and we're certainly looking at ways we can utilise this 360 function to visualise that data to help, you know, help industry and people get a better understanding of, you know, the nature of the land. So yes, just wanted to demonstrate now, you know, what it's capable of and the directions that we're going into the future. I'll go back to 2D mode now, and just a little tip. It's usually, it's much more efficient, obviously, to work in 2D mode. I want to show you as well our past imagery tool. So this has happened in, this has come about in a recent release. We're going to go out to Toowoomba now. And I just want to show you how you can compare images, so images over time, using this past imagery time slider tool. So we're at Toowoomba. I'm just going to have a look at the Here it is here, the Toowoomba Range crossing. So you can see as well, I guess, as a department, we're always looking to improve our satellite imagery and make it more current and more higher resolution. So the next release as well, we should be getting more current satellite imagery. So keep an eye out for that. But just to demonstrate this past imagery tool, here it is here on the right-hand side. You can see past imagery. What I'm going to do is click this tool. And what it does then is search for all the imagery that we have over this particular location. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to get rid of some of these layers. And just replace that topic just so that it loads in the layers that I need. Yeah, we'll just wait for this to load. So here's the past imagery tool. As I said, we can basically just click on that once it finishes loading. Let me zoom out a bit. And what that does is it gives me a, like I said, it scans all of our imagery that we have. We have imagery over Queensland dating back to the 1930s. So what this past imagery tool does is scan all the imagery that we have over this particular area. So I'm just going to refresh it. So you can see I'm over the Toowoomba Ranges here. If I click back now, so we've got imagery here dating back to the 1930s, 1933. But what I'm going to show you is if we have a look at 2016, I'm just going to add this imagery as a layer. So this imagery that from 2016 will now appear in my layers panel. You can see there it is there, it's come on the map, so you can obviously see the differences in the road development. I'm going to grab 2015 as well. I'm going to add that as a layer. Wait for that to come on. So you can see there's no road there at all. So now if I go to my layers panel, and I'll just switch off this tool now. If I go to my layers panel, I can now, obviously this is 2015, so I just switch that off. There's 2016, and I can switch that off. And then I can see how that road has developed over time. And if I zoom in now, you'll see how good the resolution is on some of this imagery. You know, there's some trucks building the road. You know, that's reasonably pretty high resolution. If I turn 2016 back on, I'll just wait for that to load. You know, you can see individual logs on the ground there. And now turn 2015 back on where there's no road. So, yeah, so you can see the power of this tool in being able to compare locations over time. Yeah. And you can do that anywhere in the state. We may not have imagery back to the 1930s over the entire state though. So it just depends on what's available. But I think it pretty much accesses our you know, a huge catalogue, which is about 900,000 images, you know, that include aerial photography and satellite imagery. Oh, and I just wanted to show you, I guess, quickly while I'm down here. You've seen the past imagery tool. This is the current location button. So if I click on this, I'm just going to allow that. It'll find my location. And this is probably because it's hitting a server. Oh, it's probably coming off. It's probably because it's coming off a server somewhere. But and because we're running multiple devices through a phone. So we're not really at this address, but if you've got
We're on a roundabout.
So, yeah. So, but if you do that on an iPad or just a phone itself, it'll work fine. It'll get you probably 10, within 10 or 20 metres of your actual location. As well, you can reset your orientation if you've moved your map around, as well as zoom in and out, which you can use the mouse wheel for as well. So I haven't really talked about the legend that much, but you can see it's just a pop-out legend, and this gets populated as you add data to the map. You can also reset your map with the reset button up here. So we'll just see if there's any questions. We might just stop for a second and just see if there's any questions.
We have one, and it's, is the aerial imagery the same as available through Q imagery? Some of those aerials are not properly geo-rectified. Will these be fixed over time?
Yeah, so Q imagery has, like, as I said, about 900,000 images in there. Obviously, the job to geo-rectify them is a huge one. I know they have been able to geo-rectify a certain amount. I'm not really sure. We may even crowdsource. We may even ask to crowdsource at some stage of geo-referencing, that entire catalogue. Yeah, I don't know if there's. I mean, we're obviously trying to geo-reference images, and the Queensland Globe has probably later imagery than Q imagery. Q imagery is historical imagery, whereas the Queensland Globe, you can visualise pretty much the latest imagery that we have. I don't know if that really helps that much.
Just adding to that, we do have some priority areas. So, for example, you'll find that over the Gold Coast and other parts of southeast Queensland, we've already geo-referenced a lot of the historical imagery, and other areas will progressively be geo-referenced over time.
No worries. If you're interested in a particular area as well, maybe just flick us an email, opendata@dnrme, and then I guess we'll see what the team can do. But yeah, if you're interested in a particular area, just send us an email. Yeah.
She said thank you.
No worries. Is there any other questions then? Is there anything else I have sort of gone through quite a lot today in a short space of time. Excuse me, I really do recommend the FAQs in the help section, because there's some videos in there which basically pretty much go through exactly what I've done today. So you can have a look there. If you get stuck with anything, yeah, like I said, please email us, opendata@dnrme.qrd.gov.au. We're more than happy to help. Yeah, so I think. Sorry. Oh, sorry. So we got a new release coming in about 2 or 3 weeks, and actually, I've forgotten, and I will just quickly show you Street View, because I forgot to show you that. But while I'm getting there, we've got a new release coming in about 2 or 3 weeks, so please bear in mind and watch out for that this toolbar is going to change. So there will be added functionality, there will be an added measure tool, so an improved measure tool, rather than just using the line tool, where you can see the length and bearing in the bottom left corner of the screen. There'll be an actual proper measure tool where you'll see the area or whatever you're drawing appear on the screen. As well, you'll be able to, and I guess this goes to the last question, you'll be able to import your own images and geo-reference the images yourself. So that'll include JPEGs and PNG files. So you'll actually be able to drag and drop these images and then using the tools, geo-reference them yourself. So another powerful new feature of the Queensland Globe. What else is changing?
Service that delivers the imagery is going to be changed so that
will be quicker. Yeah. So, I mean, as you're probably aware, the Queensland Globe, it does have massive data sets, and, we're talking, terabytes of data. So, So the next release looks like it'll be faster as a result of fixing the service that loads the imagery in. So yes, it is evolving, it is continuing to evolve, and we're certainly looking to make sort of customer-focused improvements. You know, I keep saying it, but if you have feedback where you think we can make improvements, please let us know. Please send it through to that Open Data email address, and we'll certainly push it up the line to the project team. You know, and obviously the to-do list is a long one, but you know, if enough people ask for these improvements, we certainly make them, and it has happened. Let me just show you, just before we go then, I just want to zoom in. We do have Street View as well in the Queensland Globe, and it'll basically take you out to the Google Street View. So you can simply just drop a pin or draw a point on a street, and then go to your places where it's added to your places. Use the drop down, so that's the place that I just drew on the map, and then click on Open Google Street View, and just it'll open up a new tab, and it'll take you to that exact place where you just dropped the pin on Queensland Globe, which is near Suncorp Stadium. So yeah, you can see all I did was basically grab that draw point, drop it on the ground, and then went to my place panel. So all of these draw tools, when you add them to the map or draw something, they are automatically added to the places panel. Sorry, I probably needed to reiterate that. So you can see I'm drawing a polygon now. When I double click to finish, you can see, bang, it's automatically added to the places panel, where, as you've seen before, I can do queries, or I can go queries to filter the data, or I can go Street View. As well, you can look at the attributes. And I think that's something else that's coming as well with our next release, 2.9. If you go to your layers panel, you can actually look at the attributes and decide what gets displayed on the map, or choose an attribute that gets displayed on the map. So I think that's another change. Look out for that one. Thank you very much. I think I've just about exhausted all I can for now. Really appreciate you listening today. And yeah, keep that feedback coming in. So thank you very much. Thank you, Danielle, as well, for allowing us to do this. So
yeah. No, it's been very good, and I think I've got a couple of feedback saying thank you very much. So no, I think everyone's been very happy with today. But just keep in mind, everyone, if you, at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, if a question pops into your head, you can either send it through to the email address that Andrew was mentioning, or, you know, you can always come through me as well, and I'll forward it on to the team. So thank you, everyone, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.